Welcome into the Belhaven Football Coaches Show. I'm Kenneth Nash, and joining me for the first time this year, head coach Blaine McCorkle. Coach, you're 1-0. You've gotten the season underway, and welcome in back to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be back with you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. The Blazers started off their season with a 49-21 win over crosstown rival Millsaps just last week and kind of kicked things off. And it's kind of a new era for Belhaven football, 25th anniversary season, but new conference, some new faces. But you start off with probably one of the most familiar faces Belhaven has, and that's Millsaps, a big-time win. Can you just kind of give your thoughts on the game overall?
Yeah, it was a great way to start the season. You know, it's really unique and special. It's one of the neat traditions in college football is, in my opinion, the Belhaven-Millsaps rivalry because we are so close. I mean, we can see their campus from the room we're sitting in right now out the window.
Yeah.
You know, so it's close proximity. Our kids know each other. Our staffs know each other. It's a great rivalry. And to start off the 25th year of Belhaven football with a win over those guys was pretty special.
Absolutely. It was kind of a rocky start to the game. A couple of special teams miscues, not some great field position, gave Millsaps some good field position. Can you kind of talk about the first couple of possessions, and then we'll kind of get into what we'll call the good stuff?
Yeah, we had a couple of mistakes field on the ball there. They kicked off first. Colby made a very uncharacteristic mistake, caught the ball, stepped out of bounds. First game, he was probably juiced up to make a big play, forgot where he was on the field. So we started off at the 9-10 yard line. That was tough, so we dug ourselves in a hole, had to push it out a little bit there and punt the ball. And then second possession, they still had good field position. We mishandled a punt. So first two drives of the game, we were starting off inside of our 10, couldn't really overcome it. So we had to get some of that first game stuff out of the way. And then after we did, we were rocking and rolling pretty good.
Yeah, and it certainly felt like that kind of watching was that it was, rivalry game. You're at Millsaps, and you want to start the season off, and obviously you had a lot of success against them last year. You want to replicate that success this year. After the first couple of possessions and Millsaps missed a field goal, then it kind of felt like it was like, okay, we're here. We've settled down a little bit. Can you just kind of talk, did it feel like that on the sideline where you guys kind of calmed down and were able to kind of take over?
Yeah, I don't think anybody really panicked in those first two drives. Everybody kind of recognized the situation, knew what was going on. We knew that we would get their best shot early, and of course they came out fired up as they should, and so did our kids. But we knew we were just one play away. If we made one good play, it was probably game on from there.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly what it was. Unfortunately, the third drive, we got a little bit better field position, went tempo real quick, and Colby made a nice play, which we'll see here in a minute, and it was kind of game on from there.
Yeah. You guys ended up on offense putting up a really, really nice day, well over 500 yards of offense. Defensively, you played really well. Also, you stifled the running game for Millsaps. Being able to kind of get things going on both sides of the ball and I guess be firing that quickly in the season in all three phases, is that something that you were really excited to see?
I was, yeah. I mean, you definitely, everybody always says your biggest improvement is from game 1 to game 2. So you always really challenge your guys to play as high of a level as they can in game 1 to set that bar high, knowing the improvement's coming. So that definitely was encouraging. One thing that you like, too, is to win a game in dominant fashion in week 1, and then you still have a lot to coach.
Yeah.
There's still a lot we can improve on. There was a ton of learning from that film in all three phases, not just the kick game, that'll only serve us well going forward in the next 9.
And one thing that's really interesting, and we'll see it just a second in these highlights, you have a lot of new faces. While there are a lot of returners, a lot of your kind of playmaker positions in terms of, I guess, skill positions are some new faces or guys taking on bigger roles. And can you just kind of talk about them integrating so quickly into it? And then we'll kind of look at a few in these highlights.
Yeah, that's really exciting for us. It's just a sign that our program is not just growing for the short term, but for the long term when you see new faces come in there. I think this is the first game that we've started since I've been here, going into my 5th year now, where we haven't started a true freshman.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, especially on defense, there's a lot of new names popping up that have played a lot of football, but they've been in our program for a while. Chance Taylor being one, Jaden Jones being one. There's a couple guys who've kind of worked through the process and grown and developed in our program, and now they're big-time contributors. And that's really, really exciting for me to see because they're true products of what we're trying to build. And there's a lot of names like that popped up specifically on defense that we'll see them all year.
And real quick, one thing, new faces, and while we're talking about it, I want to hear your thoughts. You've got some new faces on the coaching staff as well. Yeah. Being able to, you've coached together all fall, some in the spring, but getting on the field and having some of these new coaches in, how important is it for them to be able to integrate really quickly into kind of the sideline atmosphere or the communications if they're up in the booth? How quickly and how important were they getting kind of involved?
Well, yeah, good question. They've done a great job. The core of our staff has been here the entirety of now 5 years, and that's really exciting for me. I think that this staff has some tremendous young football coaches on it that have some great careers ahead of them. There's a couple of them that I may start kicking them out the door because I think their ceiling is really, really
Yeah.
high. But they don't show a lot of extreme desire to leave because they believe in what we're doing and they enjoy being a part of it. And that speaks well to our staff camaraderie, our staff harmony. But some of the new faces, obviously, Mario Asaguna, our quarterback last year, is now our running backs coach. Here's a graduate assistant working on his master's. And then Brad Foley, who played running back for us last year, is helping Coach Stu with the receivers as a graduate assistant. And it's so neat that those two guys, they knew our system. They wanted to start their coaching careers here because they're so proud and of their time here and what they've done. They wanted to stay, you know, so that's pretty cool. And then Tyson Wackenheim we brought on as our tight end fullback coach, and he's done a tremendous job. He's been a lot of places and seen a lot of things. He was a graduate assistant at Indiana and Georgia Tech. He worked at VMI for a while. Neat thing about him, he won 3 USA South championships as a player at Christopher Newport. So he's new to our staff. I've known Tyson probably since he was in high school. His father and I worked together at Liberty a long time ago. Really smart, really detail-oriented, really creative football coach. So we're excited he's on our staff as well.
Yeah, it was really impressive to kind of see having coaches being able to kind of really key in on some new positions and seeing where those guys in those positions, because of your tight end room, really impacted this game against Millsaps. We've got some highlights. There was a lot of plays made, really too many to count. There's some that we didn't even get to cover, but we've got a lot of highlights to look at. You talked about just a few minutes ago about needing to get to a point where you could make one good play. It was game on from there, and this was kind of the play that started things off. Colby Blunt, who was obviously been with the program for a couple of years, taking on that starting running back role, and we know how explosive he is, and he breaks a 73-yard touchdown, and it was kind of a race from there.
That's right. Yeah, we as we mentioned, we started off slow there. This is like 2nd and 7. We just ran the inside zone. We went tempo here after just a 3-yard gain just to try to get them going. I think they had trouble getting lined up there, and Colby hit it. And once he breaks the line of scrimmage, sometimes it's game over because there's not many folks at our level that are going to catch him. So proud of Colby and what he's turned into. He gained 18, 20 pounds since last year. And it's probably gotten faster. We went out to preseason day 1 and watched him run down the field and said, oh my goodness, we've really got something here. So exciting to see him make a play, and he's got the ability to do that every week. And you don't replace Brad Foley, but Colby Blunt's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It kind of jump started everything from there for you guys. Now, Raz Pace is a player we've talked a lot about off air. You've told me a lot about how good of an athlete he is, and he can do so many different things. He's technically on your quarterback or in your quarterback's room, but here he's making a receiving touchdown, first career touchdown.
Yeah, on the roster, we probably just need to put football player.
Yeah.
He's not even an athlete. He's just football player. He can do it all. If I told him to go play left guard, he'd go do it, and he'd know exactly what to do. But he's in here as our H-back, comes across in motion. We're able to get him down the seam there for his first touchdown of his career. What's cool about this, he scores a touchdown, he gets up and he holds for the extra point, and he runs off the side and he covers the kickoff. So Raz is a really neat kid. He's a great student. He's a great citizen. I mean, he's just a phenomenal guy, one of our team's favorites, and he's going to play a lot of football at a lot of spots for us all year, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. Defense was not going to be left out, and TJ Hersey's been around your program for quite a while, continues to get better year after year, and he makes a good play here, breaks up a pass, and this was kind of your defense getting involved at the same level your offense was.
Yeah, we gave TJ our defensive player of the game from our standpoint, as we give player of the games in-house here, and this is a great play in man coverage, just batting that ball down against a guy that's about 5 inches taller than him, and he doesn't know it. If you ask TJ Hersey, he's the tallest guy on the field every week. And he's just tough, gritty. He's a junior. He started, I think, every game since he's been here, so he's experienced, and it was fun to watch him go out there and compete.
Now, a player that we've talked about a little bit as well is Zach Hammett. Went from the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball, now a tight end for you. Gets his first career receiving touchdown here on a nice little play.
Yeah, it was good to see Zach get in there and score a touchdown here. He's wide open. If he'd have dropped this, he might have needed to think about other things, go back to defense. That's right. But he was a linebacker, and he's one of those guys I mentioned a minute ago that's kind of been a journeyman in our program. He's been around here for a while, but hasn't seen significant action until now. Played linebacker, had an injury, had to sit a year, came back in the spring. We made the decision to move him to tight end, and I think that's really paid off well for him. And he had a really nice night, had a couple catches beyond the touchdown there. So excited about what he's given that room to give Brooks Brummer a little bit of a break.
Yeah. One position group we talked about at the end of last year, we've talked about a couple of different points, is your defensive line. You lost basically all of your defensive starting line last year, starting defensive line, pardon me. So you needed guys to step up. Cooper Martin's going to be one of those guys, and he made a really nice play here, just explodes to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think if people study Belhaven football, one of the question marks going into the season was what's the defensive line going to look like?
Yeah.
We lost 3 outstanding football players, so we really challenged these guys before the game, the night before, and Coach Connor did a good job challenging them. Just eliminate the question mark. Game 1. Let's just eliminate it. And I think they did. They stepped up to the challenge. Cooper Martin's one of those guys, and I'm really proud of Cooper. He's doing some things off the field really well right now that I'm proud of. He's got his body in good shape. He's gained some weight, and you can see right there he has got some explosion. He can get off the ball when it's snapped and be very disruptive. So really encouraged where he is right now, and hopefully he can continue on that track.
Now, we've seen some kind of newer faces, maybe been here a couple of years, but really kind of taking on roles as playmakers. We've seen them. Faison Locke's been making plays in green and gold for quite a while, and he basically runs the route here. Great interception, gets the ball back, and it ends up leading to a score.
Yeah, Faison's one of those guys on our team that just kind of makes you smile when you see him. He's been around here a long time. He started every game since he's been here. He is as dependable as the day is long. He does. Looks like a receiver there tracking the ball down. One guy I want to mention there, you see in the background, that's Anthony Heath, Mississippi Highway Patrolman, former Blazer.
Yeah.
Loves Belhaven football. He escorted us over to the game. He escorted us back. He's been right there with us and does a lot of things to support the program. So really, really proud of Anthony and what he's doing for our state and with the Highway Patrol, but really excited about his pride in the program as well, talking about the 25th year coming. He's one of those guys that's a big piece of getting this thing to where it is today.
Absolutely. You talked about your wide receiver group a lot to me kind of this fall, and you thought that some new faces really took some strides and some of the returners really improved. Cooper Tullo, you expect to kind of have a big year, especially as one of your slot receivers, makes a huge play here. We haven't even mentioned Tim Johnson, by the way. Had a great day at quarterback. He's throwing all these touchdown passes.
That's right.
Cooper Tullo, 50 yards for a TD.
Yeah, excited to see Cooper make a play here, and he can go. You know, you think about the Wes Welkers of the world, things like that. That's Cooper Tullo, just a football player, loves playing the game, loves his team, loves being around. He's always kind of the life of the party out there, and he does have the ability to make a play, as you see right there. And really excited for him right there. I think that was on a big third down. Tim just fired a shot right at him. You mentioned Tim. Tim played phenomenal.
Yeah.
From our standpoint, Tim was also our player of the game in-house. In his first start, he managed the game. He managed the clock. We had no procedural issues. He took care of the football and just did a great job. And I think he's got a really, really high ceiling, and he'll only grow as we get going.
Absolutely. Jaden Jones on defense, another one of these players that's kind of stepping into a bigger role, makes a really nice play here, blows up a play in the backfield.
Yeah, Jaden, another one of those guys, kind of like Zach Hammett, who's kind of been a journeyman here and has found his way the last 2 years. He's been down there on the scout team taking a beating from guys like Cole McAlpin and David Turner, and he was here all summer. He worked really hard. He's found himself in a starting role, and really proud of the development and the progress he's shown through our program, and he's turned into a really, really good football player just by being persistent and hanging in there and working hard. So really proud of that.
Chance Taylor, another one of those guys that's kind of been around the program for a while, has missed some time with injuries. And then you've asked him to do a lot of different things. He's going to be a big part of your defensive line. Comes up with a big sack here.
Yeah, Chance is another one of those guys like Zach and like Jaden we mentioned. The first 2 years we were here, he was walking around here in a boot sitting on the side of the field. We didn't know what he could do. He spent 2 years without football just waiting his turn and working, and now he's finally healthy. You see him get there and make a sack, and he's got a lot of energy, and really excited to see Chance get in there after kind of paying his dues as well.
Absolutely. Talk about the receiving room, big strides. Jacoby James Grace, nice route here, really nice throw by Tim Johnson. This was in the second half, a nice touchdown.
Yeah, I thought Tim Johnson was going to kill him with this ball. I thought he threw a spear right through his chest, but he fired this one in there, and good job by Jacoby staying focused. Could have taken a big hit right there, but he looked it in and got the first touchdown of his career. We had 5 different guys score the first touchdown of their career Thursday night across the street there, and that was really exciting. 7 guys scored touchdowns, 5 of them their first time, and Jacoby was one of them. I forget his name sometimes. We just call him Bill. Okay. I don't know why, but we call him Bill. His name's Jacoby James Grace, but we refer to him as Bill. But really excited to see him make a play. A good young player in our program who's got a high ceiling as well.
Now, we've seen some guys that maybe weren't prominent or as prominent of players last year make some plays. This guy's brand new to the program. Eli Webb, you've talked a lot about him. Expect him to have a big career here at Belhaven. He makes a really nice play here, a true freshman.
Yeah, he does. Gets in there and gets a sack as a true freshman in his first college football game. And again, I said we didn't start any freshmen, but the game got to a point where we were able to play a lot of young players and get them some experience, and was so excited to see him get in there and make a play. And I really predict as the season goes on, he's going to play more and more. And he's big, he's strong, he's physical, has a great motor, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, we talked about there was a lot of plays made. We've got just a couple more. Devon Daniels, part of a loaded running backs room for you. We're going to see another running back in just a second. Wins the race to the corner and picks up a touchdown.
That's right. Yeah, if he'd have followed his blocking, it'd have been a lot easier for him. But I think he wanted to show everybody his speed right there and get to the corner and scored his first career touchdown. And Devon's a good football player, really good football player. One highlight that's not on here, we had a 3rd and a lot. I'm going to say 16 or 18, and we threw him a little bubble out there, and he made a couple guys miss and went and found a first down.
Yep.
And he can make some plays. When we scrimmaged Rhodes a couple weeks ago, he broke off one for about 60, and pretty talented kid, high school quarterback. He can do a lot of things. Proud of Devon. One thing on him, he stayed here all summer, got a job at Subway making sandwiches all day, showed up every night to work out, and just put himself in position to be the best football player he can.
Absolutely.
And that just speaks volumes. Same with Jaden Jones, who we mentioned a minute ago. The guy's commitment this summer was phenomenal, and with those specific guys, you're really starting to see it pay off.
Absolutely. How about a little bit of brotherly love here? Caleb Gallishaw, Deontay Gallishaw in the backfield together. Caleb Gallishaw, little brother, setting the block for Deontay, takes it 60 yards to the house.
Yeah, really cool to see Caleb spring his brother for a touchdown here. If you had the other view of this, it's kind of funny. They were actually arguing before the play.
Of course.
This is one thing I thought about all summer. I really wanted to get these two brothers in the game at the same time. And I asked Deontay after, what were you guys arguing about? Having a little sibling rivalry out there. He said, well, he was actually supposed to carry the ball. And he lined up on the wrong side. And then he ends up springing his brother for a touchdown. So that was a really cool moment for our team, but I'm sure for the Gallishaw family as well. I'm sure they were really proud of that moment and something they'll always remember.
And you talked about the game kind of got to a place where you're able to play some of these newer faces, some of these freshmen, and the defense finished strong here. And Avery Thomas, one of those freshmen, with a nice breakup here, kind of asked to cut back and makes a nice play and prevents the catch.
Yeah, there are some freshman defensive backs here that are going to be really special. Avery Thomas is one of them. Neat kid, comes from a really athletic family and a great lineage. D. Gray is a freshman defensive back that's going to be phenomenal. Who I'm missing? Ice Hodgins is a guy that every day shows up in practice. I'm sure I'm missing somebody in that freshman DB group, but there are some young guys on that back end that are going to be really fun to watch for a long time. And this is Avery got in there, did a nice job breaking up the pass over there on their sideline, and excited to see him get in there late as well.
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about Millsaps in this game and how important is it to kind of start off on the right foot. But one thing that you really also preach to your team is great job, move on. You got another target, you got another game that you got to play this week. And we actually, to circle back, before the game, we did like a little pregame interview, and you talked about Millsaps is a great way to start the season because you don't look ahead, but you also don't want to look backwards on Millsaps either. So you've got Southwestern coming into town this weekend. This is a game you lost last year. At home, you lost 34-27 against a good Southwestern team. It's a non-conference game. But there's a lot of desire on both sides to win this football game Saturday night.
No doubt. This is a big football game for our program. Now going into the new conference, we now have 2 non-conference games.
Yep.
We're very familiar with Southwestern as they were in our previous conference, the ASC there. So they know us, we know them. I think we've had some really good back and forth the last 3 times we played. Really, before that, they really kind of owned the series and kind of dominated Belhaven. But it should be a great football game.
Yeah.
And, we did really preach that once Millsaps was over, is over. So when the bus got back across the street, on that 3-minute drive back over here, we made sure that Southwestern propaganda was up everywhere, and our kids knew, hey, Millsaps is over, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Because this is a really, really good, well-coached, tough, physical, disciplined football team. And it's going to take everything we've got to get this done this Saturday.
Absolutely. Can you kind of dive in a little bit to what Southwestern is? I know you're probably just kind of kicking off watching film this week on them, but it's a team you know pretty well. What can we expect? They're a pretty different team from Millsaps in terms of physicality, how they want to play the game.
Yeah, their programs are in different places for sure, and that's no slight on anybody. Southwestern's very established. Joe Austin, their coach, I think he's in his 10th season, I think, there. And his teams show up prepared. That's what you're going to get when you play a Joe Austin team. They expose you. If you've got a hole in your program in any of the 3 phases, he's going to find it. And he's really, really good at that. They do a good job getting guys loose on wheel routes and trick plays and things like that. They'll expose you in the kick game. Last year it was a 7-point game. We gave up 14 in the kick game. They blocked the punt for a touchdown, and then they threw a fake punt against us that set up a touchdown later. 2 huge plays in the game. At the same time, we had a really bad penalty on the first drive of the game on a 3rd down that we converted. We're 4th and 2 in the red zone, and we have an illegal procedure. So last year, they showed up better prepared than we did. They were in better shape than we were. They were more disciplined than we were. They were just flat out tougher than we were. So we know exactly what we're getting into, and we've got a lot of work to do because they will be the exact same team and probably better this year.
Yeah. Now, I think this game maybe for y'all is before you get into conference play is a really good kind of measuring stick, taking on an established program like you said. You've got a bye week afterwards. Before you kick off conference play, and then you're looking at Huntington, the reigning USA South champions. What does that do to kind of have 2 non-conference games, then the bye week? Does that really let you kind of work with things and toy with things and play with things before you get into the conference part of the schedule, or we read a little bit too much into that?
It does to a degree. If anything, we may get through these first 2 games and eliminate some things.
Yeah.
As opposed to toying with things. But it really is like 2 separate seasons because it's 2 non-conference games, a bye week, and then your 8 straight conference games. So the bye week will be really important in a week to really reevaluate where are we, who are we, and where do we need to go going into conference play. Hopefully, if things pan out well, we're right on track and know who we are and keep on plugging away. That would be the best case scenario. But the bye week does this year, even being really early, come at a good time for us.
I want to talk about 25th anniversary because obviously this is the first home game of the season, and this is an important season for Belhaven football as a whole. Started in 1998, going into the 25th year, and you kind of feel like it's recognizing the history, but kind of a new start as well in the USA South. Can you just kind of talk about some of the things that you've been able to do with alumni? I know that you've been able to kind of build relationships over the past couple of years, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on for football alumni this year.
Yeah, it's important. Wherever you played college football at is always a very, very special place to you. This being the 25th year gives us an opportunity to reach out to those guys, bring them back, reconnect to them. Let them know that just because your eligibility is up doesn't mean this isn't still home.
Yeah.
And if you played here, this should always be a special place and home for you. And I want those guys to know and understand that. As long as I'm sitting in this chair, it's an open door policy. I never put on a green and gold uniform and played for Belhaven. They did.
Yeah.
I just get to be the guy that sits in the chair in front of the room.
Yeah.
So it's their program, not mine. And I want them to always realize that and recognize that. So we've done a lot of really cool things to try to reach out to them. The response has been really, really
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
A lot of them will be coming back to tailgate for all the home games. As I mentioned, Anthony Heath, our highway patrolman there who escorted it, he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Fred Terry here locally, when we had the water issues here in Jackson, he rounded up a bunch of alums and made sure that we had what we needed. So it's really neat here lately to see them say, okay, we actually are welcome back. Let's do this. Let's join in. And those things help you win. And, one thing that's important with that, I do that for those guys, yes, but I also do that for our current Blazers because very soon their eligibility is up and now they're in that boat. And I want them when they leave here to always know that this is still home and they can come back. So homecoming is going to be a big deal. We just released last week our all 25-year team, which was really cool. The response has been awesome. Most guys have been so appreciative, so humble, so grateful to be recognized by their school. And that's pretty neat. And we'll honor those guys at homecoming and have a few other tributes throughout the year just to honor those guys and their sacrifice to get us where we are.
Absolutely, and that was what I was getting ready to ask is obviously maintaining a relationship with alumni is beneficial to them, but what does it do for your current players to be able to see some of these alumni standing on the sideline when you're up on your rival Millsaps, or to be able to see these guys coming out to practices and taking care of the players in kind of a weird situation that we've been here in Jackson over the past few weeks. Kickoff 7:00 against Southwestern. If you're a football alumni watching this, come out to the game. We want to celebrate you, and if you're just in the Jackson area, come out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Home games last year were crazy. The atmosphere was fantastic. The atmosphere at Millsaps this last week was fantastic, and we know that the Blazer fans are going to bring it this week as well.
No doubt. Going back to the Millsaps game crowd, I think we had a good crowd at the start of the game. We had a couple events from other sports, like our Sockers were playing over here. When they were over, everybody came over. And by the end of the game, our side was absolutely packed. I think we probably had well over twice as many fans there at their place that they did, which was really cool to see. Big shout out to our baseball team. Our baseball team was right behind our bench, and they got after it. And they brought a lot of good energy to the game, so I appreciate Coach Palmer's guys coming out there and doing that. But you're right. As the season got going last year, the last couple of home games, the atmosphere at Belhaven was electric, and that stands were packed, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. I know that our administration's done some good things to continue to enhance the game day atmosphere, so we're excited to see that, and it'll be a good time this Saturday night, 7:00.
Absolutely. So make sure to come out, Belhaven Bowl Stadium, Belhaven, Southwestern, 7 p.m. Make sure to show up. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.